Paso pitches. Williams swings. There's a high drive going deep, deep. It is a home run.
Ted Williams was the last man to hit 400 in a season, and he did it 84 years ago. But was he actually the greatest pure hitter who ever lived? Theodore Samuel Williams wasn't born into baseball royalty. Growing up in San Diego in the 1920s, his childhood was complicated. His father was absent most of the time, and his mother was consumed with her work for the Salvation Army, often leaving Ted and his younger brother to fend for themselves. But Ted found his sanctuary at the North Park playground. While other kids were playing games or causing trouble, Williams was obsessed with one thing: hitting a baseball. He'd swing a bat for hours until his hands bled, then wrap them and keep swinging. The playground supervisor had to kick him out at closing time, and Ted would be back first thing the next morning. His high school coach at Herbert Hoover High School saw something special immediately. Ted had this incredibly long, smooth swing and an eye that seemed superhuman. He could lay off pitches just millimeters outside the strike zone. But more than that, he was absolutely fanatical about hitting. He'd study every pitcher, analyze every at-bat, and constantly tinker with his technique. Even as a teenager, Williams was different. While his classmates were thinking about dates and parties, Ted was thinking about launch angles and bat speed. His obsession bordered on mania. He'd swing a bat in front of a mirror for hours, perfecting his mechanics. When Boston Red Sox scout Eddie Collins saw the 17-year-old Williams play, he knew he was watching something extraordinary. Collins signed him for $1,000 and a handshake. Ted's only request? He wanted to be known as the greatest hitter who ever lived. When Williams arrived in Boston in 1939 at age 20, he was cocky, outspoken, and completely obsessed with hitting. His teammates nicknamed him the Kid because of his youthful enthusiasm and endless questions about hitting. Veterans would find him in the batting cages at 7 a.m. before day games, working on his swing. His first spring training was legendary for all the wrong reasons. Williams announced to anyone who would listen that he was going to be the greatest hitter who ever lived. The Boston Riders ate it up, but not in a good way. They painted him as an arrogant kid who needed to be knocked down a peg. In his rookie season, Ted hit .327 with 31 home runs and 145 RBIs. What separated Williams wasn't just his natural ability, it was his scientific approach to hitting. He studied pitchers like a chess master studies opponents, knowing their tendencies, their favorite counts, their weaknesses. Ted would say later that hitting a baseball was the hardest thing to do in sports. Think about it, a round bat, a round ball, split-second timing, and you're trying to hit a fastball that's moving and breaking. Williams made it look easy, but he understood better than anyone how difficult it actually was. 1941 was the year that made Ted Williams immortal. Going into the final day of the season, Williams was hitting a .39955, which would round up to 400. Red Sox manager Joe Cronin offered to let him sit out on the doubleheader to preserve the milestone. Ted's response? Hell no. If I'm going to be a 400 hitter, I'm going to be a 400 hitter all the way. That's the kind of competitor he was. The pressure that final day was immense. Before the game, Williams took his usual meticulous batting practice, fouling off pitch after pitch, working on his timing. Philadelphia's pitchers weren't going to give him anything easy, but Williams didn't want easy. In that final doubleheader against Philadelphia, Williams went 6 for 8, finishing the season at .406. No one has hit 400 since. Williams did it while the entire baseball world was watching and expecting him to fail. But here's what's crazy. That same season, Joe DiMaggio hit safely in 56 consecutive games, one of the most famous records in sports history. DiMaggio won the MVP award, not Williams. The press loved Joe D and his quiet professionalism, while Williams was seen as difficult. Williams actually hit a .412 during DiMaggio's streak, outperforming him, but it didn't matter for the voting. Just when Williams was hitting his prime, World War II changed everything. After the 1942 season, Ted enlisted in the Navy as a pilot. He spent 3 years flying missions instead of playing baseball. 3 prime years of his career gone. Williams didn't have to serve. As the sole financial support for his mother, he could have claimed a deferment. but he felt it was his duty. His training was intense. Williams approached flying with the same obsessive perfectionism he brought to hitting. When he returned in 1946, people wondered if he'd lost his edge. Williams answered by hitting .342 with 38 home runs and leading the Red Sox to the World Series. This time, he won the MVP award, but Boston lost to the Cardinals in 7 games, and critics still found ways to blame Williams despite his solid performance. Then came Korea. In 1952, at age 33, Williams was called back to military service as a Marine pilot. He flew 39 combat missions, survived a crash landing, and served alongside future astronaut John Glenn. Another 2 seasons lost to service, but Ted never complained. He understood there were things bigger than baseball. What made Williams special wasn't just his swing, it was his brain. He approached hitting like a scientist approaches an experiment. He divided the strike zone into 77 different areas and knew his batting average in each one. He kept detailed notebooks on every pitcher in the league, writing down what they threw in different counts and how their stuff looked on different days. Williams had a theory: never swing at a bad pitch. Sounds simple, but he had the discipline to actually do it. He led the American League in walks 8 times because he'd rather take ball 4 than swing at a pitcher's pitch. This drove fans and riders crazy, but Williams didn't care. His swing was a thing of beauty. Long, smooth, and perfectly balanced. He generated incredible bat speed while maintaining perfect mechanics. Ted could turn on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball or lay back and drive a changeup with equal effectiveness. Williams' relationship with Boston fans and media was complicated, to put it mildly. He was sensitive to criticism and had a temper that sometimes got the better of him. When fans booed, he'd tip his cap sarcastically or make gestures that didn't help his image. The breaking point came early in his career. After a particularly bad game where he struck out with runners in scoring positions, fans booed him mercilessly. Williams responded by spitting toward the crowd. The Boston writers destroyed him the next day, calling him ungrateful and immature. The Boston writers were brutal. They criticized everything: his defense, his clutch hitting, his attitude. Williams felt like no matter what he did, it was never good enough. He stopped talking to the press for years, which only made things worse. But here's the thing: Williams kept producing. In 1957, at age 38, he hit .388 and won the batting title. In 1958, he became the oldest player ever to win a batting title, hitting .328 at age 40. The man was ageless when he had a bat in his hands. Williams' final game came on September 28, 1960 at Fenway Park. Only 10,454 fans showed up. Boston had already been eliminated from playoff contention. The weather was gray and cold, fitting for what felt like the end of an era. In his final at-bat, facing Baltimore's Jack Fisher, Williams did something that seems scripted by Hollywood. The count went to 1-1, and Fisher came in with a fastball. Williams' swing was pure poetry. The same smooth mechanics that had terrorized pitchers for 22 years. He crushed a pitch deep into the right field bullpen for his 521st career home run. As he rounded the bases, the crowd went wild. Even the fans who'd booed him for years were on their feet, giving him the ovation he'd always deserved.
And at 1-1, Fisher tried again.
There's a drive to deep right center. This may be gone. Fred way back there watching. Home run. Ted Williams.
Williams jogged into the dugout and never came back out, despite the fans' pleas for a curtain call. He wanted to go out on his own terms, and he did. Author John Updike was there that day and wrote the famous line, "Gods do not answer letters." Williams had made his statement with his bat one final time. Ted Williams didn't just hit, he dominated in ways that seem impossible today. His career .482 on-base percentage is the highest in baseball history. Think about that. Williams reached base nearly half the time he came to the plate over a 19-year career. His .634 slugging percentage ranks second all-time behind only Babe Ruth. But Ruth played in an era with shorter seasons. Williams lost nearly 5 full seasons to military service. Imagine what his numbers would look like with those 700-plus games back. Williams won 6 batting titles, but here's what's insane. He lost 7 others by hitting over 340. In 1947, he hit 343 and finished second to Mickey Vernon's 353. In 1949, he hit 343 and lost to George Kell's .343179 to his .342756. Yes, Williams lost a batting title by .0004 points. He reached base in 84% of his games played. That's not a typo. In 2,292 career games, Williams failed to reach base safely in just 367 of them. He was literally automatic. In 1947, Williams came as close as anyone ever has to achieving something impossible. He nearly won the Triple Crown while hitting 400. He led the league with 32 home runs and 114 RBIs while hitting 343. If he'd gotten 5 more hits, he would have hit 400 and won the Triple Crown in the same season. No one has ever done that. Williams won the Triple Crown twice, in 1942 and 1947, but both times he was denied the MVP award. In 1942, Joe Gordon of the Yankees won despite Williams' Triple Crown season. In 1947, Joe DiMaggio edged him out by a single point, 202 to 201, after one Boston writer left Williams completely off his ballot. After retiring, Williams became obsessed with passing on his knowledge. He wrote The Science of Hitting, which is still considered the Bible of hitting instruction. The book was revolutionary. Instead of general advice, Williams broke down hitting into precise mechanics and mental approaches. He managed the Washington Senators from 1969 to 1971 and helped players like Frank Howard unlock their potential. Williams worked with hitters well into his 80s. Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, and countless others sought him out for advice. His theories about hitting became the foundation for modern hitting instruction. But Williams' legacy goes beyond baseball. He was a war hero who served his country twice. He was one of the first players to publicly support integration. He demanded that Negro League stars be included in the Hall of Fame. When he was inducted in 1966, he used his speech to honor the great black players who'd been excluded. Today, hitting 300 is considered excellent. Hitting 320 makes you an all-star. Ted Williams hit 344 for his career while walking more than he struck out. In an era where strikeouts are exploding and batting averages are plummeting, Williams' approach seems almost quaint, but that's what made him special. He understood that hitting wasn't about swinging hard or looking for highlights. It was about discipline, preparation, and execution. Williams treated every at-bat like a chess match, and he usually won. The most telling statistic? In 1941, when Williams hit 406, he struck out just 27 times in 456 at-bats. Last season, 23 different players struck out more than 150 times. Williams put the ball in play and made things happen. They called him the Splendid Splinter because of his tall, thin frame, but Williams was anything but fragile. He was a perfectionist who demanded excellence from himself and everyone around him. He was difficult, complicated, and absolutely brilliant with a bat in his hands. Williams proved that greatness comes from obsession. While other players were satisfied with being good, Williams was consumed with being perfect. He never achieved perfection. No one can, but he got closer than anyone else ever has. Today, when a young hitter works counts and takes walks, coaches still reference Ted Williams. When someone talks about the art and science of hitting, Williams' name comes up first. 84 years after his 406 season, he remains the gold standard for pure hitting. He was the kid, the splendid splinter, the thumper. But most of all, he was the last man to hit 400, and he did it when the whole world was watching. Thanks for watching. Do you think anyone will ever hit 400 again? Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe for more legendary baseball stories every week. This is Inside Baseball, where we bring you the best of the game.